Good morning, everyone. This video is about the poem The Road Not Taken. I will give you the explanation of the poem, and besides, also give you, I will also tell you something about our poet of the poem, that is Robert Frost, and I'll also give you the major theme of the poem. So let's start. The poem The Road Not Taken is written by Robert Lee Frost. He was an American poet and he was born on 26 March 1874, San Francisco, California, US, and he died on 29 Jan 1963, Boston, Massachusetts, US. His work was initially published in England before it was published in America. Our poet Robert Lee Frost won many prizes like Pulitzer Prize, Bollingen Prize, and many more. He was also awarded the Congressional Gold Medal in 1960 for his poetic works, and on July 22, 1961, that was 2 years before his death, he was named Poet Laureate of Vermont. Children, here Poet Laureate is a title, or you can say it's a position which is given to the famous poets. This poem, The Road Not Taken, was published in 1961 as the first poem in collection Mountain Interval. Mountain Interval is the name of the collection of poems, of which The Road Not Taken was the first poem. I'll give you now the theme. One more interesting fact about Robert Frost was the first of only 5 poets to recite a poem at a US presidential inauguration. Till now, only 5 poets have recited a poem on the day of presidential inauguration. He was also he was the first, he was one of those. Now, about the theme. The poem comprises uncertainty and confusing situation of the minds of people about what they may face when they standing on the verge of making choices. It is because life is full of choices, and the choices we make define the whole course of our life. Similarly, the narrator faces a situation during his travel. Once the narrator was traveling and he also faces the same situation. He finds 2 roads at a point where he has to choose one and must abide by his choice, and he must follow his choice. He thinks he may come back one day to travel on the other road. However, he also has a feeling that his choice will confront him with new adventures and challenges. Though there is some regret over his choice, he regrets about his choice, yet he realizes that the things he has encountered and the places he has visited because of his path have made all the difference in his life. The person in the poem has to decide whether he has to follow the crowd or to take the other road and make his own path in the life. The poet has his own personality. He refuses to do ordinary things just because everyone else does them. In the end, he chooses the path that hasn't had many travelers. He knows that it will be better for him, but he also acknowledges that he can never know what would have happened to him if he had chosen the other path. It's all about the theme, the dilemma a person faces when he is standing on the crossroad of his life. The poem is all about that. It's a symbolic poem. It's a metaphor of our life. Metaphor means symbol. It's a metaphor of our life. Sometimes we may face the situation, not may face, but we most of the time we face the situations when we have to make the choices in our life. It's all about that. So let's start the poem. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood. Once the poet was passing through a wood or a jungle, he saw the road got forked or got diverged into two roads. And sorry, I could not travel both and be one traveler. As he was he is a single person. He was a single person. He could not travel both the roads at the same time. Long I stood. He was standing there for a long time and looked down one as far as I could. And he looked both the roads as far as he could see to where it bent in the undergrowth. He saw both the roads until the roads got turned in an undergrowth or in the bushy area. So, first, this is a four stanza poem comprised of 5 lines each. So, the first stanza is all about the once the poet was traveling and he passing through a jungle. Then suddenly he saw the road which he was walking on got diverged into two roads. As he was a single person, he could not travel both the roads at the same time. He stood there for a long time, saw both the roads, and he kept on thinking. Then took the other just as fair, but he did not take the first road, he took the other one, which was very fair. Here, the word fair means clear, and having perhaps the better claim. It means the road he was taken was having the better claim. Better claim means, according to the poet, that road was attractive. It was looking nice to the poet because it was grassy and wanted wear. Because the road was grassy and it was wanted wear. Wanted wear means it was not used much, it was less traveled. Though, as for that, the passing there had worn them really about the same. But when we talk about the travelers who passed from both those roads, both the roads were equally used. It seems the poet did in these lines, the poet said that he took the other road, which was, according to him, had a better claim was me it means which was looking better according to him. If he talks about walking of the people on both the roads, he says that both the roads were used by the people equally. Now the third stanza. And both that morning equally lay in leaves no step had trodden black. That morning, the day the poet was passing through the wood, he was talking about that morning, both the roads were looking alike. Both the roads were looking similar. In leaves, no step had trodden black. Nobody had kept a foot on those roads, as the leaves which were falling on the roads, they were not trodden black, or they had not turned black by passing of the people from that road. Oh, I kept the first for another day. As he was a single traveler, he thought he may come back some other day to walk on the first road. Yet, knowing how way leads on to way, he knew that it is not possible for him to come back and walk on the first road. But still, he left first road for another day. He was very much he was very much aware that how one road way leads on to way, like when you chooses one road or when you chooses something in your life, that choice takes you somewhere else and you cannot come back. You wishes then also, if you wishes then also, you cannot come back to the again that crossroad to take the another road. I doubted if I should ever come back. Similarly, poet knew it that he cannot come back again to take the another road. I shall be telling this with a sigh. Here, in the last lines of the poem, the poet shows a sense of regret about his choice. I shall be telling this with a sigh somewhere ages and ages hence. He says, after many years of his life, he will be telling about the choice he had made in his life with a sigh, with not a happy tone but with a sigh. Two roads, what he would be telling? He would be telling that two roads diverged in a wood and I took the one less traveled by. Once he will tell that once he was passing through the wood and he took the road which was less traveled by, and that has made all the difference, and that the choice he had made on that particular morning had made all the difference in his life. So these lines show the regret of the poet about the choice he made on that morning. So here the poet wants to convey a message that while making choices in our life, we should be very careful, we should have insight, and we should take proper guidance before making the choices, because once the choice is made, that cannot be undone. You cannot come back on the crossroad to take another path. So sometimes the decision we make when we come to a point in our life where we have to choose something. This is the dilemma shown in the poem by the poet Robert Frost. This is, children, it's an ambiguous poem. It's not clear because it's a metaphor. Sometimes there are many meanings of the poem. So it's all about the choices we make in our life. We have to be very careful. We should have insight while making the choices. That's all.